Minister, let's start by defining the legacy funding gap. What do we mean by it and how big is it?
The public sector legacy funding gap is the difference between income and expenditure to do with pension benefits that have built up over decades. It's a negative number now. It's been getting a larger negative number in recent years. And when the public sector pensions reserve runs out in 5 years, it'll actually have to be funded in some other way.
Well, the report has come up with 9 options, but doesn't make any recommendations. Are we any closer to solving this problem, or are we in a holding pattern?
Oh, very much we're not in a holding pattern. What we've got is a 3-stage process. We had to deal with making the future of the scheme for current members sustainable, and we've done that to a large extent. The second stage is actually working out how we will deal with that if we haven't quite solved it, and that's called cost sharing, and that's what we need to get onto now in 2018. And the third section is dealing with this legacy funding gap that's built up in the past, and there are options for that to do with taxation, to do with other ways of organising public revenue. We could even borrow. There are options to the way that we change the way that benefits are paid out, and those are all the things that are laid out in this report so that there's complete clarity for my political colleagues, for members of the scheme, but also for the wider public.
The public sector pension scheme has been reformed several times in recent years. Members now pay higher contributions for fewer benefits to contain costs. Has that been enough?
We hope it's been going a long way to deal with the future, but as I said, we'll review that in 2020 using the cost-sharing mechanism that we hope to put in place this year. And it's great that members have accepted lower benefits and agreed to make higher contributions in teachers, in police, Tynwald members and the general scheme. But we've still got to deal with the problem from the past, the legacy funding gap, and that's the big issue. That's why that's taken longer time to deal with.
There are to be more workshops, more considering of options, more reviews and another report. Aren't you just kicking this into the long grass?
I don't think so. I think what we've done is we've actually mowed that long grass, made it into a lawn, and now we can see where the moss is and where the big weeds are that need to be taken out. We've got clarity. I want to mix my metaphor now and say that in actual fact, when you've got such a large challenge as we've got with public sector pensions, the first thing to do on all sides is to deny the problem, and eventually we've got to a stage where we accept what we've got the problem and how we've dealt with it and how we're going to deal with it in the future. And in between the denial and the acceptance, you've got to think about it, you've got to negotiate, you've got to be angry from time to time, and this report I hope will help everybody involved, members, the general public, the taxpayers as they are, accept where we are, and that some of the imagined solutions could actually make the challenge even greater to solve.